I expect that many of you viewers already know quite a bit about our cat Sassy and her unfortunate death about 2 months ago from my social media posts or the things that I've written about her here or there or said in other videos. And this was her room. Originally, it was our room for the kids to spend time in when they were visiting here, but in COVID times, Sassy basically took over this bunk bed. Towards the end, we got her this cat bed that she loved and this blanket, and we still keep it in here. So in the past, when our other animals finally met their end, and mostly, at a good, ripe old age, I've done tribute videos and, with clips of them doing their various things and engaging in their typical behaviors. When it comes to Sassy, because she lived so much longer than everybody else, 19 years in fact, I have a ton of footage. And so if you aren't really up for watching about an hour's worth of stuff, then maybe this video isn't for you. But for me, it's a great way to celebrate and reflect on all the things that this little animal was. And before I start showing you stuff, I'll just say this. I've had a lot of cats, I've had a lot of dogs, a few other kinds of animals over the course of my lifetime, but I've never bonded as deeply as I did with Sassy. She really became my companion, and I became her person. We did so many things together, as you're going to see in the clips yet to come. And, I do miss her quite a bit. It's like having a part of yourself that you can't access. But I also kind of feel like I can bring her to mind anytime that I want to and imagine or remember what it was like picking her up or talking with her and her talking back or cuddling up together or any of the other things that we did, especially a lot here in this room where she would sleep on this little bed on the big bed and then want me to sleep next to her. As a matter of fact, sometimes she'd actually call for it or gesture for it. And then, when I laid here, she'd move my hands around to the configuration that she wanted them in. But that's enough reminiscing right now. I just wanted to say a little bit before I begin this excursus into the life of this wonderful cat who is, dearly missed but very fondly remembered. So this is how we would start many of our mornings. You see Sassy going down the steps, doing her little bunny hop and waiting for me. I'm her person, so she wants to make sure that I'm coming along properly. And this is probably from the last year that she was alive, so she's moving a little bit slowly. You can notice too that she was, as the vet called it, over barbering on her back. She'd lick some of the hair off too much, and so she's bringing me along. She knows exactly what she wants to do. Now we're on our 8th floor of the building, our apartment, and you notice all of her stuff there. She's got piles of catnip and various toys and a hoof that belonged to one of the dogs originally. And she's, waiting to see what I'm going to do. So I'm giving her some more catnip there, and she's happy about that. And she'll hang out in her little place with all of her precious things, as we used to call them, around. Some of them are just like feathers that I grabbed from the ground at the park. She's coming up to me now and asking for something, probably looking for a bit of food or a snack or something along those lines. Yep, there it is. So we had these dried snacks made from various types of meat that she really got into. We actually got these from my sister-in-law's cat, who was devouring them as well. And so you could see how happy Sassy was here in this place with us. She's got all the things that she wants. She's got her daddy there in the morning. This was our routine until she started sleeping downstairs, in which case it got modified a little bit, and I would bring her out just as well. And now that she's eaten it, she's ready for some more, I think, and waiting patiently, more or less patiently. Now she's going to groom herself. That's the over grooming or barbering that the vet was worried about. For a while, we actually had to put her in infant onesies so that she would not pick out as much of that hair as she had been before. But you notice she's, very alert, very happy. And this is, when she's probably 18 years old, I'm guessing. So she's doing quite well as a cat. She's in front of the food bowl, and that's her water bowls. She used to steal the dog's food out of the food bowl, as I'll show you later on. But now she's going to slowly, laboriously get herself up to get a little drink. See how she hunches over, and she's, taking care of herself. We got all of her cat food and treats and stuff like that over there on the side, waiting for her. And she takes her time, getting a nice leisurely drink. So here's an image of her doing something that she did a lot in the mornings, which is get up on the shelf in front of our massive picture window and, watch the city. I think she had a little bit of a fascination with the people down below, and she liked the cars as well, and so she'd sit up there and just check things out. You notice her food stuff is up there. And here's her getting the zoomies up in the bedroom. And I think that's actually Amica, the dog. I think you can see poking a little bit behind her, but she's really quite agitated. She's probably 17 at this time, coming over to hang out by me and get some pets. And here's her playing with the robot that we bought. This robot would dispense treats. We originally got it for both her and the dog, Amica, but Sassy got into it, and then, it would roll around and she would go after it. Quite great to see an old cat doing that. Here's her in the sunlight. Now, this is in Kingston, where she and I first met, and where my, at that time, fiance, then wife, was living at the time. I moved up there, and Sassy and I would, along with the other animals, hang out quite a bit. She loved being in the sunlight, and here's her, poking her face around. She was probably 12 at the time that I'm recording this, maybe a little bit older. This is back here in Milwaukee. She's got her scratching post. This is upstairs. And it's not a scratching post, it's more of a ramp. And later on, she would actually use that ramp to help her get up in bed. Mr. Rope, originally a toy that the dog, Amica, had brought from the street, and then Sassy gets into it. This is what she would do in the morning when she was still pretty spry. She'd want to play. Hi. And there she goes, scratching. That's some from fresh catnip for her that I picked from the city. We have a walk-in closet that is full of stuff, and she loved to open up the doors on the walk-in closet, then go inside, and who knows what she did, lounge, experiment, play around with things. It's difficult to tell, but she liked to spend time inside there, and she'd always act a little bit guilty when we'd catch her in the closet. I think because my wife had, kind of conveyed the idea she's not supposed to be in the closet. I didn't really mind that much because she didn't do anything wrong. It's not like she, made a nest or peed or anything in the closet, but, she was a curious little girl. And here you see her sort of carrying that out and then, cleaning herself as she would do sometimes when she was embarrassed. Now, here is Sassy and her sister Teensy, twinning as we called it. Teensy unfortunately died when she was about 12 years old in Kingston of organ failure. Her liver went bad. But she and Sassy were the sole survivors from an apartment fire in New York City. And then my wife took them in and then later on adopted the two dogs as puppies. And so they were the oldest animals, Sassy and Teensy. And you notice how much they love to cuddle up together. Teensy had a little bit more dark markings than Sassy did, and the full tail, of course. Now, you see here, they're not the only ones on the bed. There's somebody else. Oh, Teensy woke up, and so did Sassy, and they're wondering what's going on. Why are they being filmed? And there's them again. They'd, snooze together quite a lot during the day. Actually, they'd curl up together at night, although Sassy and Teensy also like to curl up with the dogs and curl up with us people as well. And there she is. That's Teensy looking. And here's little Sass, all nestled in, snoring away. Oh, there she goes. She's awake now as well. And both little sisters checking us out. You notice Teensy gives side eye. She always looked like she was a little bit ticked off. Sassy was the much more, outgoing and sanguine one. Teensy was more of a retiring animal. And of course, cleaning, the two sisters would hug and clean each other. Sometimes that would actually turn into cat fighting, especially if they'd had some catnip. That would get them all riled up. But here you see Teensy is quite content to let Sassy clean her ear and cuddle up with her, two very nice little sisters that would hang out. Teensy, by the way, was larger than Sassy. She was named the Teensy cat when she was a kitten, and she got not an awful lot larger than Sassy, but, significantly larger where you could tell that one was bigger than the other. And this is something that cats do, whether they're related or not, but when they're part of the same litter and they've known each other their entire lives. Notice how Teensy's getting into it. She's just like, it's almost like a cat massage for her, right? Or a cat cleaning. Sassy is going wild. She really gets into it. And I guess Teensy's ear must be very either attractive or in need of cleaning because she's digging in there and doesn't appear to want to ease up on it at all. But this is the sort of thing that we would see them doing very frequently together. Sometimes it would be Sassy doing the cleaning. Sometimes it's Teensy. Look at that cute face. As Teensy rests in it, and now she's waking up just a little bit. Boy, Sassy just won't let that ear alone. Now Teensy's had enough. And here we go back to the other one. So we'll see what happens. How long Teensy is gonna go for this. Sassy is just licking away, and now is she done? Pretty close. Now they'll hang out together. Oh, here we go. Start up again. And Teensy's just going to lay there and put up with it. Somebody's got to do the cleaning around here, I suppose. But that's pretty cute, what we see them doing there. You can tell that they really enjoy their time together. Now Sassy's like putting her back into it. And here's another one. Now you see Teensy is getting into the cleaning part. Oh, Sassy's doing it as well, and now they're Teensy's looking over at me. You know, uh, Teensy had such big eyes too. Uh, you can tell that they're sisters, but they definitely each had their own look and even their own walk. Sassy was missing half of her tail, and it gave her what my wife calls a walking hard in the yard kind of stance and walk that's more like, I don't know, like a bulldog or something like that. But these two really, really did love and care about each other. Um, Teensy was much more retiring, much more introverted. She didn't like to go outside. She wasn't as curious about stuff, though she did love to play, and especially with like pens and pencils and sticks and things like that. And she was quite a cuddler as well. So here's the sisters again together. I know I'm showing you an awful lot of this, but I think it's important to think about how these two lived, well, at least the all of Teensy's life and the first 2/3 almost of Sassy's life together. And then look at this. There's Magnus on the bed with both of the cats. Uh, he almost looks like he's been caught doing something. And then here's Amica. They all would hang out on the bed together, you know. As a matter of fact, sometimes Sassy would curl up with Magnus and Teensy with Amica. They each had their favorites. And there's Sassy looking at me as I'm checking things out. She's quite content to lay there with Teensy, who's curled up with her. And oh, there's Teensy. Now she's awake. She wants to know what's going on. Both of these beautiful sisters and their adoptive dog brother and sister as well. And here's Sassy with Amica. We had these things that we bought called Yogi Bows. And boy, did the dogs and cats love to lay on them. They were originally for us humans, but they got claimed very, very quickly. And so you notice that Amica is like cleaning herself, but every once in a while she's going to bump Sassy. Sassy was pretty cool about that sort of stuff. She liked hanging out with both of the dogs. And now here is Sassy also on a Yogi Bow with Magnus. Both of them basically doing the same thing, cleaning their bodies. And Sassy a little bit more thoroughly perhaps than Magnus, but this is what they would do as well. They just hang out and, you know, snooze and make noises every once in a while, cuddle up occasionally, get up to get a drink of water, and then come back and lay down together. Sassy liked to go outside quite a bit, and this is from fairly early on. This is Kingston, so she's going in the garden, going around it. You notice that tail that I was talking about and how she kind of walks in a very distinctive way, sort of like I used to call her grounder pounder. She was a bit of a bruiser, and so she's making everything her own, including the irises there that we see growing in our little garden. The rocks are hers, and the fence is hers, and everything belongs to Sassy. And she became quite bold. It took a little while to get her used to going out in the yard with me, and then after she realized how much enjoyment she could have out there. Here she is again. This is at Andy's mom's place in Brookfield, and we take her out there. She loved those sticks that would fall, and she's kind of wandering around, talking a little bit, wants to hang out, and probably moving towards the car, which she might try to go under. But she's, I'm her dad, so she wants to be by me to know that it's safe. She would use me as sort of like a safe place, and then venture out, because she knew that if there was anything bad, I'd pick her up and put her on my shoulder right away. And here she is, same place, checking things out. She liked to go into the foliage. There she's going underneath the hostas, and then she's taking a pee, which is not good for the plants, but it's not going to kill them either. And she, wanders around. There's still some like water on the leaves, probably some dew. And now she's venturing back out into the yard, following along with me back out onto the driveway. And here she is walking up the path to the house, meowing, from time to time, and looking around, checking things out. She knows what a door is. She kind of wants to go in, figures out that nobody's going to let her in. Now what is she going to do? Well, you may as well explore some more. So she's going to check out the pots and the hose and the cedars or junipers, whatever kind of bush those are that are out in the front yard. And, she'll talk a bit from time to time. She loves hanging out there at her grandmother's place. And Andy's mom really liked having Sassy out there as well. Such a good cat, And, keep in mind, again, that this is in the later years of her life. She's still pretty spry at 16, 17, 18, 19. This would probably be when she was either 17 or 18.
Hey, Pants.
And, she's pretty confident. She doesn't need to be too clingy. She's going to explore, check out the whole yard, see if she can, smell some chipmunks or mice or little birds or anything like that. And there she is.
What are you doing?
There she goes. Now she's coming over by me and moving past into the...
Come on, big girl.
I'm not sure what kind of bush that is, but just her kind of skulking around, checking everything out. She really loved being in these sorts of outside environments. And I would take her as often as I could to places like the park or the deck or out here. She really enjoyed being out and about with the people. Such a majorly social cat.
There's the prowler.
All the way to the very end. Here she is out by all the logs that had been cut and then basically went to seed. They weren't being used for fires, and she liked that. And then she's wandering around the yard some more, checking everything out. And she's going to start making a break for the house before too long. We'll see her do that. There she goes. She's on the prowl, looking around, going over by her dad. And then she changes her mind. Where are we going now? Well, we'll go over here by the bushes. Oh, those are lilacs that she's playing around in now. Some of them quite small, some of them larger. And she gets into it. And she wanders around a bit more. She's going to see where this goes. More lilacs there that she's pedaling around in. And now what? Just hanging out. Just checking things out. And then she'll ease herself down into a nice position where she can just like keep an eye on everything and take it easy. Here's us some more. She's trying to get back to the car. So I move her out into the grass, and then she's, sniffing it. She doesn't eat much grass. Um, and there we go. That's me and her. She goes kind of limp when she gets picked up, right? She's not quite sure what we're doing. And then she likes it when I give her a spot to hide in. She loved to snooze a lot as well. Here's her on the dog beds piled up in her room. She had a tendency to claim things that were originally for the dogs for herself, and you can hear her snoozing a bit. Here's her again. Her snores tend to be a little bit loud, in part because we think of the smoke inhalation damage. Not that other cats and dogs don't snore, but Sassy had quite a distinctive one. Little wheeze. This is on one of her favorite blankets. Oh, and you see her sitting on her dish that she would turn over, and then that's Mousy next to her, her special toy. Here's her again, same blanket on the dog beds. Again, Mousy is by her butt. And here's her in the sunlight, snoozing away. This is on the bed, I think, the big bed. Yeah, those are our brown pillows. No, gray pillows, rather, that she's curled up with. And another one of her deep sleeping. You can see the deep breathing that she's doing. She liked to curl up in that position, sort of like, it always reminds me of a bunny, her those big long back paws sticking out, her face there. Oh. She's wondering what's going on. Why have I disturbed her sleep? Can she get back to sleep? Or is the daddy going to keep bothering her with his phone? She would know when she was being recorded, too. She wasn't super big on that. This is one of her favorite places to take a nap in the day. The big bed that my wife and I used, and in which Sassy would typically sleep next to me during the night. When our dogs were still spry enough, they would sleep in the bed quite often as well. Good thing it's a king-size bed. And here's her curling up in that bed. She would use the pillows to like make a little nest almost for herself. All curled up on herself this time. That 1 foot.
Hey. You didn't hear me come in, did you? How's the Mino?
She would sometimes get up in the bed and then try to get me to lay down next to her. She had a lot of different ways of doing that, meowing, moving around, kind of like gesturing with her eyes. She's always ready for some pets, though. So look at it, she's stretching out with her back legs as I do that. Yeah, she was such an affectionate girl. And here's her back in the same more or less place. There's one of our comforters and got pillows, and she's cleaning that paw. Oh, and a yawn. I have quite a few good pictures of her yawning away. These are also dog beds that we had purchased, which again, Sassy took over for her own. This may be after the dogs were gone, or it might have been while the dogs were still around. She's looking for some pets and affection. This is the bed in the kids' room. It's a bunk bed, and she would often, in the daytime, on the 8th floor, curl up in this bed. Eventually, this would be the place where she would spend her nights when she was no longer able to get up the stairs and down the stairs, and when she would just, want to settle in here. And that was really about, I would say, the last 5 months of her life. She loved that bed. And eventually we had another bed that we put on top of it, a little pink cat bed, which she also loved as well. She's doing that deep, heavy breathing. She also liked to go for rides, and this is us. She's in my arms, hanging out as we get ready to go to, I think, the vet. Now she's going to crawl on the back, and there she is. This may or may not have been from the same ride. She liked to go in the back seat and check things out, and you're going to see her start moving around in just a bit. Here she is, fairly content. And Sassy went on rides with us all over the place, out to Brookfield, to Andy's mom's place, where the vet also was. She made it on a cross-country trip with me. She rode in the truck, the Penske truck that we used for moving our stuff, and then we had a breakdown, and we had to transfer it to a different truck. She actually went up to Green Bay with us for a Packers game. Obviously, she didn't go into the game itself, but she stayed in the hotel. We brought up her little bed and various stuff, and she enjoyed it. Here she is. There we go. She's checking it out in the car. She liked being down on the floor, and she also liked looking out the window as well, watching the cars and the landscape.
There's my big girl.
There we go.
What is it, Mitten?
Now she's going to make my wife's purse her own.
Mitten. You want to take your medicine now?
Not quite sure what's in the bag.
She's like, that's when I get the treats.
But this is how she would ride along. She'd move around a bit, check out different things. Very cool little cat. So much personality packed into that little body. Now, she loved to eat. Sometimes she would lose weight and stuff like that. Sometimes she would go off of food, but she was actually a pretty good eater. This is more of that dried food. She really loved that stuff, and it came in different flavors, beef and duck, and I think salmon, and all sorts of interesting flavors for cats. Boy, she was really a cat who loved beef. And this stuff she would just break apart and chew it all up, and then go drink some water because it's dried, so she gets a little parched. A little bit of a messy eater too. Here she is in a bed, and there were all these like pastes that are made by different manufacturers, and these would be treats for her. Towards the end, she was more or less eating just those sorts of things in broth, but these are good treats for her, and she'd lick away at them. She'd get up for this stuff. If she knew that you were opening up a package, she'd find you and crowd around you. She really enjoyed it quite a lot. And she's pretty thorough. There's not going to be much of that left in that little
not gonna stop, huh?
cat bowl once she's done with it. Here's another kind of paste. This one's kind of gross looking, but she was into that. Kind of reminds me of another thing that she used to love to eat, which is Braunschweiger or liver sausage, which we would get on occasion, and she'd want a bit of it, and it was a way to also get her to take her pills sometimes. You wrap it in Braunschweiger. This one is just some sort of paste that I'm not sure what flavor it is, but you can tell she's in the kids' bedroom and lapping it up. Now this one is really funny. This is a bone. This is a ham bone, and she is wild about it. This became her possession. She would not let you take it away from her, or if you did, she would figure out where you put it because she wanted that stuff. Or maybe this is turkey. Actually, I think I'm wrong. I think this is a part of a turkey. But boy, did she loved that sort of stuff. And when I would make tuna casserole or other things with that, she wanted to be offered the tins so she could get the little bit of meat that clung to it. And then just look at the intent expression on her face. She is so into that, and she would like push these tins around, getting every little bit of it off of her whiskers afterwards. One of her favorite things to chow down on. Look at how she gets her whole face in there. And now let's see about the other one. The first one is cashed out. Let's get to the second one. Quite a treat for her. That was one thing we could count on, is whatever we fed her, she would eat it, within reason, of course. There were some things, of course, that she didn't like, but I was just going back and forth. Still got a third one in reserve there too. And now she's done. You notice she's limping there. And we'd also get these chicken breast things from Costco, and she loved those too. Same sort of deal, a little bit bigger, so easier to get her face smashed down inside there and eat it all up. She's going at it again. She's not gonna let any of that stuff go to waste. What a fun little cat she was. She's got her little feathers behind her toys. Really likes eating that chicken, doesn't she? Got some of it on her eyebrows. She could be a bit of a sloppy eater as well. You can see some of the catnip on the floor just past those chicken things. I'd get her fresh catnip, and she'd really enjoy that. Here's her having a little drink. Dogs and she used the same bowls. They're all one big happy family. Until she was the only one left. This may well be from that time.
You were a
there
thirsty
she
girl,
is.
weren't you? What do you think? What do you think?
That's one of her toys on the ground that
You want a little
was
kibble?
made from a ribbon and some sort of top. Oh, here she's getting some dog food now. Oh, some kibble. She loved
What do you
the
think?
dog's food. And here's her taking her morning bite of my bagel with cream cheese. She liked to have some of the cream cheese. And sometimes, like if there's the cream cheese was done and the wrapper was there, I'd let her lick the wrapper as well. But she liked in the morning to have a little bit of my food, and I didn't begrudge it to her. Here's her going after my wife's waffles.
Sassy.
Eating the butter.
You're eating my waffles.
She was pretty bold. She would just jump up on you.
Don't you
and,
care?
Start, pushing you out of the way.
You don't care?
and
You just
getting
want
at your
butter?
Food if there was something that she thought she should have. Here's me. She's going after my charcuterie plate. I tossed a bit to the dog, and now she's eating my turkey. This is while we're watching the Packers game. Look at her. She's going to eat so much of it. Here's another bagel laying on the bed in the morning. She likes to be offered.
Is that good? You like the cream cheese, huh?
Occasionally she would eat the bagel as well, I think because it was crunchy, but the cream cheese was really what she
Had enough?
liked the most. And now I have the rest.
Burp it out.
Here we go with some pets. Here's her. This is towards the end. You can tell how emaciated she's become and that she's not cleaning herself. We had to start using wipes, and she is drinking broth that is comes in these containers. It's nutrient rich and calorie rich, and she would drink the broth till the very last day. This is probably 2 days before she dies, and you can tell she's not looking that great. Here's her with Amica. After Magnus died in 2018, she and Amica were the only animals left, and they spent a lot of time together. You notice she's curling up on the Yogi Bo in the crook of Amica's legs, while Amica kind of tries to clean herself, but is actually cleaning the Yogi Bo more than herself. And here's Sassy cleaning Amica, taking care of her as Amica snoozes. Isn't that funny to see this cat who's 1/10, not even 1/10 of her size, cleaning this massive dog, taking care of her. But Amica was her puppy. There's Amica waking up now. Now here's the two girls together. Sassy's on one bed. Amica's on the other bed, just hanging out, doing what they do. They love to be together, even if they weren't curled up next to each other. They like to be not just in the same room, but close by to each other. Here's them eating kibble together. Now this is dog food. This is Amica's dog food. And you can see Sassy is ravenous for it. She would eat her own kibble, but she seemed to like the dog food better. And, if you give it to them in small quantities, that's okay. Now, here's Sassy doing something that really disrupted stuff. My wife caught her. She would climb up, as you see, and in the middle of the night, and then later on, boldly during the day, eat Amica's food. Amica did not like this. It was one thing to have it on the ground. It was another thing to have this cat coming over and just straight out stealing your food. Here she is over here.
What you doing there,
She's
Sass?
caught. It's the daytime. She's about to steal some of Amica's food. And here comes Amica, who is going to make sure that Sassy knows that that is for Amica, not for her. See, look at Amica giving her side eye, trying to make sure that Sassy knows that this is her food, not cat food.
What do you think, Sassy Pants? Peek pie. You don't have to eat it all. What do you think, Sassy Pants?
Sassy's waiting for a little handout. And here's her, snoozing again. Lightly wheezing away. Again, curled up in the bed in the kids' bedroom, which became Sassy's room and Sassy's bed. Looks like she might be having a dream. You can see her little tail. Here's her curled up again with Mousy kept safe underneath the food bowl. Sassy put it like that.
Hey, do you have Mousy there? You keeping Mousy safe? Oh, that's nice. You're a nice girl. You keep your Mousy nice and safe, huh? Yeah, we'll leave him there for now, okay? Sound good?
Here's her and one of her favorite spots. You notice like the catnip on the ground and the sun that she can lay in. She's got some of her toys around her, including that bird that was for what we called catfishing. We would play with it on a stick until she got to the point where she wasn't into that. And she would stay there a good portion of the day while the sun was out. And she'd sleep, then play with her toys, have some catnip, get up, get a drink, come back over there. One of her favorite places to be, right by our bookshelf, and not too far from the dog's food as well. So she's giving herself a little bath. She really had quite a great life for a cat. She didn't mind COVID at all because it meant that we were home all the time and she could just hang out with us, get whatever she wanted whenever she wanted it. And there you go. This is a cat's life. There's our little pretty face. Some more cleaning up in the bedroom, hanging out. Another one of her favorite spots. I mean, one of the cool things about this place that we moved into is that compared to where we were in Kingston, where we had about 400 square feet, but we did have an outside yard. Our apartment is on 2 levels, has multiple rooms, lots of places for her to hang out in. She could like go off on her own, take a nap, be undisturbed, unless I came up and video recorded her like I am doing here. And then whenever she wanted company, she would come seek us out, you know. She really had the best of all worlds. And if you think about like the amount of space given her tiny little body, I mean, we were basically living in a mansion as far as a cat is concerned. Here's her again doing the same thing. A little bit of a different lighting. You notice again, she's like curled up inside of the blankets and comforters and pillows and stuff like that. She'd make herself almost like a little nest, taking advantage of how we had left stuff. And every once in a while, you catch her like pulling on stuff or burying her body parts underneath the comforter. There she goes.
Hey, Sassy Pants.
Our pretty little girl. And same spot, same activity. I have a lot of footage of her. I would come upstairs and like catch her asleep or cleaning herself or doing, whatever it was that she's doing. And then I video recorded it. I'm really glad that I did too, in part because, if you're watching this far in, you realize how much I did in fact record. These aren't even the photographs, which, I probably have thousands of photographs of Sassy doing all the different things that she did as a cat. And I'm really glad that I do have them because it's nice to be able to not just bring her up in my mind's eye, but to see her in what I've recorded in this digital media. And there's little Sassy again, giving us a look, cleaning away. Probably a little bit too aggressively there. You see her biting at the hairs. That's what she wasn't supposed to be doing, but at least it's not on the back part where she did that, too much. Little old girl grooming away. Yep. she looks, she always wants to know what we're doing as well. Here's her almost in Garfield pose. Sometimes she would sit the way that Garfield does on her haunches. Uh, this is something she would do quite often. Take that one arm or paw and put it way, way on her back so she could get to some of the areas that are a little bit tough to reach, I suppose. She liked being brushed as well. Coming in real close. And here's her again. There's her beautiful little face, getting some pets. Looks like I'm taking this like as basically a selfie as we're laying in bed together. It must be quite a while ago, given that that was in Kingston, yeah. And this is in Kingston as well. She's just kind of hanging out, about to fall asleep. Opens her eyes again a little bit and nodding off. Here's her telling me it's time to get up. She wants to come over by me in the bed. She's ready to maybe take her trip downstairs. I would start giving her rides when her legs started getting a bit too weak to easily go down the stairs or up the stairs. And she's prowling around, checking everything out. What a beautiful little girl she was. So loving. And yet sometimes so aggressive as well. Look at that tail flip back and forth. She's ready to play or ready to quiet down and go to sleep. This is one of my favorite clips. You get to see her kind of just reclining into being petted. Look at that little face. Can't quite see her fangs. Her fangs got quite long as she got older. But this is the face of a happy cat, quite content, hanging out with her daddy. Yeah. Little derpy look in there. Now you can see one of the fangs, right? Maybe both of them sticking out. She used to like to tooth us, where she would run her fang against our hands. One of her fangs is hidden by her lip, but the other one is sticking right out. Oh, now she's going to start cleaning a little bit. That's our cute little Sassy. This is the last of all the clips for this video. Just her curling up and reclining. This is the way one of the many ways I like to remember her. And I keep her in my heart